Behind every legendary Hollywood story lies a deeper human truth, one shaped by personality, belief, and quiet choices that often go unseen. The story of Richard Boone and John Wayne is not just about two Western icons, but about two men who stood on opposite sides of temperament, ideology, and artistic philosophy. While audiences admired their on-screen presence, their real-life relationship was far more complex. When Wayne passed away, the world expected familiar faces to gather in tribute, yet Boone's absence raised eyebrows and questions. But the answer wasn't rooted in a single moment. It was shaped by a lifetime of convictions, personal distance, and a quiet, deeply individual way of seeing the world. Roots of a complex personality. Richard Boone's early life played a crucial role in shaping the man he became. Born into a family with historical significance and intellectual grounding, he grew up with a strong sense of identity and independence. His rebellious nature surfaced early as he struggled academically despite his intelligence. Instead of following a predictable path, he explored life through varied experiences, from manual labor to military service during World War II. These experiences hardened him, but also gave him depth. Boone was not just an actor, he was a thinker, someone who questioned authority and tradition. This mindset carried into his career, where he often approached roles with intensity and intellectual curiosity. Unlike many of his contemporaries, he wasn't interested in fame alone. He sought meaning in his work. This foundation explains much about his later decisions, including how he handled relationships and public expectations. Rise of a thoughtful Western icon, Boone's journey into acting was marked by discipline and a desire to master his craft. After studying under the Stanislavski method, he brought emotional depth to every role he played. His breakthrough came with television, particularly in Have Gun Will Travel, where he portrayed the refined yet dangerous Paladin. Unlike traditional Western heroes, Paladin was philosophical, cultured, and morally complex, qualities that mirrored Boone himself. This role set him apart in an industry that often favored straightforward heroism. Boone's performances carried nuance, making audiences think rather than simply admire. His presence wasn't loud, but it was powerful. He became known as an actor who elevated the genre, adding layers of intelligence and realism. This artistic approach would later contrast sharply with the style of John Wayne, laying the groundwork for their differences both on and off screen. Contrasting worlds, Boone and Wayne. While Boone represented introspection and complexity, John Wayne embodied traditional American heroism, bold, confident, and larger than life. Their differences were not just artistic but deeply personal. Boone valued subtlety and intellectual engagement, while Wayne thrived on charisma and simplicity. These contrasting philosophies created an unspoken divide between them. Boone reportedly saw Wayne's performances as repetitive, lacking the emotional range he believed defined true acting. On the other hand, Wayne viewed Boone as overly serious and perhaps dismissive of mainstream appeal. Their interactions were often tense, especially during collaborative projects. This wasn't merely a clash of egos, it was a reflection of two fundamentally different worldviews. Boone's discomfort with Wayne's persona extended beyond acting, influencing how he perceived him as a public figure and ultimately shaping the emotional distance between them. Politics, principles, and personal divide. The divide between Boone and Wayne deepened when it came to political beliefs. Boone leaned toward progressive ideals, valuing open thought and artistic freedom, while Wayne was a staunch conservative known for his patriotic stance. Their opposing views became particularly significant during a politically charged era in Hollywood. Boone reportedly disapproved of Wayne's support for institutions that scrutinized and restricted creative expression. To Boone, these actions represented a threat to the artistic community he deeply respected. Wayne, however, saw his stance as defending American values. This ideological conflict added another layer to their already strained relationship. It wasn't just about acting styles anymore. It was about identity, beliefs, and moral perspective. For Boone, attending Wayne's funeral might have felt like honoring a legacy he didn't fully agree with, making his absence more understandable when viewed through this lens. A tense professional relationship, their collaboration, particularly in The Alamo, revealed the strain between them. Boone, cast in a significant role, reportedly clashed with Wayne's directing style. He questioned decisions, resisted authority, and challenged creative choices, something Wayne was not accustomed to. The set became a space of tension, with both men holding firm to their perspectives. Boone's insistence on authenticity and depth often conflicted with Wayne's more traditional approach to storytelling. While both were professionals, their working relationship lacked warmth. Even in later collaborations like Big Jake, the distance remained. Their on-screen chemistry may have worked, but off-screen, there was little personal connection. This history makes Boone's absence at Wayne's funeral less surprising. It reflected a relationship that was professional, not personal. A private man in a public industry. One of the most defining aspects of Boone's personality was his deep sense of privacy. Unlike many actors of his time, he avoided the spotlight outside of his work. He was not drawn to Hollywood's social scene or its ceremonial traditions. Public displays of emotion, especially in highly publicized events, were not aligned with his nature. Boone believed that grief and respect were personal experiences, not performances for an audience. Attending a high-profile funeral like Wayne's would have placed him in a situation he fundamentally disliked, a public spectacle filled with media attention. For someone who valued authenticity over appearance, this setting likely felt uncomfortable and unnecessary. His absence can be seen not as a statement against Wayne, but as a reflection of his own principles about how emotions should be expressed. Health struggles behind the decision. At the time of John Wayne's passing in 1979, Boone himself was facing serious health challenges. Though not widely publicized then, he was dealing with the early stages of illness that would later claim his life. Physical discomfort, fatigue, and the toll of declining health may have made travel and public appearances difficult. Even if he had considered attending, these limitations could have played a significant role in his decision. Boone was known for his stoicism, often choosing to endure difficulties quietly rather than seek attention. This aspect of his personality suggests that he would not have made excuses or public explanations for his absence. Instead, he likely chose what was physically and emotionally manageable for him at the time, further reinforcing the idea that his decision was personal rather than symbolic. An independent spirit until the end. Richard Boone was known for his independence and unwillingness to conform to expectations. He didn't attend events simply because they were expected. He made choices based on his own beliefs and comfort. This trait defined both his career and personal life. Whether it was leaving major studios, challenging directors, or speaking his mind, Boone consistently followed his own path. His decision not to attend John Wayne's funeral fits this pattern. It wasn't meant to send a message or create controversy. It was simply a reflection of who he was. For Boone, authenticity mattered more than appearances. If attending felt insincere or unnecessary, he would choose not to go, regardless of public opinion. This unwavering commitment to his principles is what made him both admired and misunderstood. Legacy of a man who walked his own path. When Richard Boone passed away in 1981, he left behind a legacy defined not just by his performances, but by his character. He was an actor who brought intelligence and depth to every role, challenging audiences to see beyond stereotypes. His life was a testament to individuality, resilience, and the courage to stand apart. His absence at John Wayne's funeral remains a point of curiosity, but when viewed in the context of his life, it becomes clear that it was not an act of disrespect, but a reflection of his values. Boone believed in living and grieving on his own terms. In the end, his story reminds us that even in an industry built on spectacle, there are those who choose quiet authenticity over public display, leaving behind a legacy that speaks just as loudly.